All right, I think the weather has officially changed here in Virginia. We're all in hoodies and coats and long pants, so I guess we're out of luck for that beautiful weather any longer. But that brings us to why I did the video yesterday, and a lot of people ran with that completely the wrong direction. Half y'all didn't, half y'all understood, half y'all didn't. So came over here to where we have this beautiful example to show you guys and to try to emphasize again. The video yesterday talking about buying exotics. We're not changing gears. We always do exotics. We always do classics. We always do, heck, at one time when AJ first started here, we had like 6 brand new Corvettes, 2 Vipers, a Lamborghini. Wasn't long after that, the Ferrari came in. So many cool things. We've kind of scaled back because, one, the building that we were specifically using for that, where people don't just trot through all day and there's not work going on, has been clogged up with different stuff. Matter of fact, it's been holding sold vehicles for quite some time. Mixed in there was also a bunch of Demons and Super Stocks and Hellcats and Jailbreaks and other things. But when it comes to square bodies, we have got so many projects currently that it's no need overlapping. There's plenty of them that scattered across between going to the off-road shop, going to the restoration shop, going to the paint shop, and other things, which you guys know we don't like dealing with paint any more than we have to. We'll still be buying, but I want things that are completely as much ready to go as possible. Maybe we need to lift it. Maybe we need to add air conditioning. But every day, the overwhelming part is some days we might get 40, 50 reach outs about selling trucks. And sometimes those reach outs have 100 pictures. So you got to imagine we're thumbing through possibly 1,000 pictures and information every day. It gets a little bit overwhelming. We appreciate the response, but we've got to kind of scale it. And once we move through some of these projects, we will get back to some more. It's not that we're stopping. And then also on the exotic side, a lot of people reached out about, or made some comments, well, if I'm going to sell my $25,000 car, I'm not going to sell it to you for 10. We didn't ever ask about $25,000 cars. We don't want $25,000 cars. We're looking for $250,000, $500,000, $2 million cars, whatever it is. Big number purchase cars that we can obviously remarket, put our money out there, and resell. I don't think any of you guys are going to take $1 million and invest it somewhere and not expect a good return. That's what we're in business for. But the private side of our business being is we can make a transaction for you where you don't have to put it on Facebook and have everybody become an expert and tell you everything you want to know and actually piss you off, which I should have sat down for this video, which leads me to the part that I do want to get to you guys, and I don't think I've brought this up yet. Probably the last 10 out of 10 purchases, those trucks people have put online themselves. And I've ran across them or people have screenshot. There are so many people looking out for stuff knowing that we're always looking. I don't actively sit on Facebook and look, but people screenshot anything that looks like a great situation. One of the most recent ones, the customer put on there for $100,000. I saw it on there. I said, man, awesome truck. I responded back to the guy that sent it to me. I'm like, that's a killer truck, but that's beyond what I could even get for it retail. He was like, cool, just wanted to show it to you. And then so many others. One of the trucks that I bought and ended up meeting the customer on a weekend, matter of fact, a couple of them back to back like this, that I met the customers on a weekend, they were so discouraged. One of the guys canceled his entire Facebook. He turned his whole Facebook off. He was so aggravated with the craziness and the responses he was getting. Just people wanting to talk, people wanting to bash what he had, people wanting to tell him about their cousin and their uncle having one, people wanting to trade, people trying to scam him. And I think that might have been what put it over the top. And again, he finally reached out. I don't like naming people's prices. If you guys have ever dealt with me, you'll know I'm going to ask you for a number. Chances are I'm not going to give you a number. Some of our commercial equipment like rollbacks, tow trucks, dump trucks, things like that, sure, I throw out offers all day long every day to buy. But on these trucks, I know there's a lot of emotion involved. The one I'm speaking of, there was a ton of emotion involved because the guy had built it over a 10 or 12 year period. He had a ton of emotion in that truck. And he finally named his price. I think he had it online for, I think this particular truck was online for like $75. And he finally said, JW, I know you got to make money. Would you be interested at $55? And I was like, realistically, my number was $50. But if you bring me the truck, I'm a player at $55. Cool deal, no problem. He wasn't that far away, so it worked out great. in the process, like I said, I've also shipped several from the West Coast across. Shipping's a problem. We're putting our money out. We're risking the truck disappearing. We're doing all the dirty work. And we're very blessed that a lot of our customers understand that. One of the trucks I just sold, the guy had seen it online. It's no secret. Internet's a big world. He had seen it online advertising. He's like, JW, I'm happy that I'm buying the truck from you. For one, I didn't want to travel to Texas. I wanted to touch it, feel it, see it, hear it, and I also wanted to take it home today instead of having to worry about shipping and it getting lost and all the other things that could happen. So again, I know it's a bunch of rambling, guys, but I also want y'all to understand the other side of what we do. We put out lots and lots and lots and lots of money to make these things happen. We put out weeks and months and years of time into some of these projects. And sometimes when I'm looking for things that are a little bit more ready to go, we're not getting any more lazy. We're still working just as hard as we are. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to add a few more people on to tackle some of the tasks. We're working on putting up some new buildings to tackle some of the tasks. We're glutton for punishment, I guess. But this sitting here was just kind of a reminder of getting something to this level. And you don't hear me say anything about frame off, but the 77 truck yesterday just went crazy online. Like it went berserk. You guys loved it. Customers should be picking it up later today that purchased it. And it was really a cool truck. The video showed you everything you needed to see. But imagine that truck being in this form, but also imagine it being lesser form where the axles are out, the suspension's out, the motor's out, the transmission's out, the transfer case is out, the drive shafts are out, the brake lines. AJ, come around that side so you can catch this. Brake lines, brake cables, all that stuff was disassembled and then put back together. Again, it was a 3 to 5 year process, like I usually quote. So when you get a truck like this to this level, you're not even halfway there. But if you did have a running, driving body, this would be a good donor to plop it on here. You wouldn't have to do a whole lot. What I'm leading to with that is, for these new facilities, what my plan is, and for these shelves and racks, is to have stuff powder coated, cleaned, this is probably painted, and ready on the shelf. And with the right employees in the right situation, we'd like to be able to do more of these higher end builds instead of the halfway builds. They're going to cost more. Again, that truck that sold, well over $100,000 invested back then. And you can imagine what it would cost today. And again, he was able to use all GM stuff, which you can't do any longer. But we can recondition GM stuff. We can recondition a perfect GM door that might have come from the Midwest. We can recondition frames. We can get a lot of the hardware and things. We've already hoarded up a lot of the things that you can or can't get sometimes these days. Now, while I'm standing by this frame, I do want to say we've had a lot of people ask. Everything that you would see on this frame, if it was put onto a truck, because this is on the website, it is for sale, the areas like this here where they're still kind of scaly, you would not see that. These little areas right here that are kind of scaly, you would not see that. That's where the body's going to be sitting. Somebody could have spent a little extra time there and glazed it and bondoed it, but it would eventually pop back out. So the parts you see in the pictures that may look a little off to you really isn't that bad. This is a very clean frame. The parts you are going to see would be this part here, all that looks great. They probably should have done it in black. Red might not have been the right color. So anyway, enough ranting on that, guys. I hope you guys understand. I feel like I say 50%, probably 75% of the people. Now, a lot of the comments and things that I'm going off of were on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok maybe. And again, I don't know why people can't understand a business has to make money. A roofer's not going to do a $6,000 roof job. They cost him $6,000. It just doesn't happen. A plumber's not going to come in and plumb a new house for $10,000 and it cost him $10,000. Everybody has to make a profit. That's what we do with the trucks that we sell. But I feel like in doing that, we bring a ton of convenience. We bring a ton of security and comfort to the customer. And again, if you bought that from Joe Blow and you did ship it from Arkansas or wherever and it showed up and the alternator took a crap, you can call him and say, hey, the alternator took a crap. You know what he's going to tell you? Dang, it worked good for me. Click. I mean, that's just how it goes. He picked the phone up and said, Jeb, I got my truck today, but, you know, newer truck, you know, one of the calls we get a lot of times, tire lights on. Well, first check tire pressure. And if it's not that, you know what? The freaking tire sensor went bad. We're getting ready to go pick up two. We need to pick up two, AJ, reminder, that are at the tire shop now that are getting tire sensors put in them. It's an everyday occurrence. So things happen. I'm going to say, hey, it should cost $68. And if you can run to your local blah, 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 pick it up, get it put in, I'll take care of it. You know, something simple like that. We try to be as thorough as possible along the way. Older trucks, same way. Like I said, alternator, starter, things crap out. You know, it could be great today and bad tomorrow. So anyway, that's my little speech for this morning as far as referring to buying, why we're looking for exotics. Guys, we're not changing gears. We're not changing anything whatsoever. We're still rolling full steam ahead. Still got trucks coming and going. I just want some of those that are easy to buy, park, make cool videos about, and sell. And of course, yes, we need to make a couple bucks on them. So if you guys know anybody in the mix on that, we'd love to hopefully help accommodate that. Oh, this truck, don't know that you guys have seen it on the new wheels and tires. And now the AC is working properly. It looks great. That is our 76 or 77 crew cab 3+3 square body that now has a set of 17-inch Raceline wheels and 35-inch tires. Turned out really good. AJ just drove it back here, 20 or 30 miles. Did good. We'll make a couple other changes on it, and then this one's going to be officially ready to rock. AC's working, everything was hooked up. Had to make some lines and some fittings and things like that, so that turned out good. And the heat is hot, AJ says. The heat is hot. So pause it real quick. Let's catch this other clip. Getting ready to get the Hummer serviced up this morning also. Drove this home last night. Absolutely perfect. No issues. We had a heck of a downpour, as you can see. No leaks. These things are super common for sunroof leaks, cab light leaks, because they've got cab lights in the front and they got cab lights in the back. No leaks. Perfectly dry this morning, so great sign. All right, so Mike had another interesting night. Mike did it again. Of course, as we've said, Mike overlooks the office. Yeah, zoom in on that. He overlooks everything, actually. And we had a transporter that was supposed to be here at noon yesterday. Then they text they're going to be 2 o'clock. Then they text they're going to be 4 o'clock. Then we didn't hear anything. At 6 o'clock, we text, oh, sorry, driver is going to be 7:30. I almost just said, see you in the morning, we're closed. But I didn't. I said, look, we'll make accommodations. I'll have the key hidden. We'll make arrangements for you, because that vehicle is going to Nevada. It's the 5th time we've tried to dispatch it. It's the 2nd time the transporter actually showed up and loaded. It's the 5th time they showed up and couldn't do it, basically. And they did do it. But what you see in the background is the remnants of almost midnight outside work. They still didn't show up at 7:30. They showed up at 8, maybe 8:15. Mike said, I think transporter's here. I'm like, it's okay. Let them go. It's all good. Keys are hidden. He sees them struggling over here. So about 11 o'clock, I guess it was, he said, I think we almost got it loaded. I'm like, Mike, you shouldn't be up that late. We need to be dealing with it. Me, AJ, Christian, somebody else. You don't need to be out there that late. He said, we need to get the truck going. So Mike is where he is with us because of the fact he puts in 1,000,000% no matter what the task is, and he always has. He's been with us for a long time. But the effort that was gone to for him, and it turns out it was actually a little 5-foot-something tall woman that was running the transport truck. She had the right rig, she had the right trailer, she did not have the right ramps. And a rollback has a very high or low approach angle when you start trying to load it. So these boards, all that debris right there is the combination of them loading that truck on the trailer for 2 or 3 hours in the wee hour of the night when he should have been in bed. So he's yawning a lot today, and he's definitely very tired today. But we're going to let him probably get away a little early so he can rest up. We applaud his effort and all my guys' effort, but you can literally see where the truck was dragging the ramps, and it was a lot of work. It always is, and I hate that he had to take that task on. But the truck is loaded. Customer service number one. Truck will be in Las Vegas, I don't know, Friday, I guess, at this speed, because they do have their downtime. So it's always something exciting around here. So pause it. We'll get this final clip, AJ. All right, so this beautiful black Chevy has made its way to the shop. You guys saw it sitting in here at the end of last week. Had some drips on the ground, so it's getting some valve cover gaskets. It's also getting a couple side cover gaskets on the transmission. Now, you can't be upset when a truck that's 40 years old, 35, 45, 50 years old starts to leak. Some of the stuff's original, and these gaskets, though, right now, they're nice and soft and easy to maneuver. They get hard and they crack. Especially when you drive a truck further than it's been driven in a while. This truck did a lot of sitting prior to us getting it. So it's been leaving some drips on the ground. We kind of knew what it was. Finally got a chance to get it in. But one cool thing, kind of reminds me of my early times turning wrenches, which I don't do very often anymore. A little side cover right there. Side cover on both sides of the transmission. Just has a simple little gasket. That is one of the very first things I did mechanically, probably 40 years ago, on a truck that was leaking. And it's simple, it's easy, nothing falls out. You take the cover off. But when those are leaking, your transmission will be almost dry. So if you see a leak coming from that area, it's not good, because of the fact you'll forget it and it will run the transmission darn near dry. So this one had fluid in it, no big deal, but it was leaking there also. So we're going to be replacing those covers and cleaning that up real well. You got them on both sides right there. And the valve cover gaskets should cure the engine leak, because it's coming from the top side. You can see it kind of running down the back right there. And then, of course, all square bodies are common for leaking in the transmission to transfer case seal area. This one is not. It's actually dry right there. But if you look under most of them, you're definitely going to notice a drip in that area. Super duper common. There's a couple bolts in there depending on what transmission, whether it has an adapter. You want to keep those tight, of course. But I hadn't really done a lot about this truck. It did have some aftermarket taillights. We've changed those out. You guys have not seen this one very much, but it is a great looking truck. Not even sitting in the showroom, sitting away from everything. Tailgate has been shaved, and daggone if it's not got a shine to it, even though it's dusty. Laser straight body. And of course, sitting on a set of Pernelli Jones tires. A lot of you guys didn't see that. We were basically a dealer vendor for the dirt grip Pernelli Jones. And it was a cool tire. Matter of fact, my brother Brian was one of the first to have a set, followed by just about everybody you could imagine. They came in 36s and 38s most popularly, for us anyway. That's a set of 38 1550s on a set of 14 wide weld super single wheels. And this truck's got dual shocks, super clean frame, combination of suspension and body lift. And speaking of that transmission, it is a manual. That's why it looks a little different when we're looking under there, because that is a manual transmission. The inner fenders have been color match painted to the shocks and the suspension and the axles. So we'll get those parts put on, be good to go. Okay. All right, so here's the final takeaway from today that I want to re-emphasize, and I want you guys, hopefully y'all have watched the video through and through. We have some cool stuff in the background today. The Corvette, the Monte Truckload, the kind of Lamborghini, lots of stuff. But one of the biggest things that we get when we're buying high-end cars, trucks, vehicles, is people trying to be private. Sometimes people trying to be sneaky. There's a lot of things that we've seen. We've done this a long time. Tens of thousands of vehicles over time. It can be private. Like, we had a Lamborghini situation not long ago. The guy got down to the final day. He called me like 2 weeks ahead. He said, "You interested?" I was like, "Yeah, we didn't come to terms on a number." I never heard anything else. He calls me the day before they were coming to repossess it. He says, can we get together on that number? I said, you know where I want to be. I know where you want to be. We're just too far apart. He said, well, can we meet in the middle somewhere? And I'm like, I guess. And we finally agreed upon a number. He said, I need it done today. I'm like, that's just not possible. He was, I think, in South Carolina. I said, we can't do it that fast. I said, we can make things happen quick, but we can't make it happen that quick. I said, but I can call your loan officer. I can guarantee funds. I can wire a payoff. I said, I will bend over backwards to make things happen so that they don't repossess it. Because if it got repossessed, then there's more fees. There's a chance at that point he might not have been able to recover it without paying it off. So we bent over backwards. We made it work. We got it done. But he was like, man, I don't want people to know I lost my car. And that's a legitimate thing. Don't let it get to that point. And I guess I've been trying to get to that statement so many times. We have customers, we have friends, I have people that I've seen for 20, 30 years. People getting binds. We've been that way. I remember playing the credit card game with, my dad and myself, having to figure out which credit card we could use, which one we need to pay off. There's been tight times in business. It happens to all of us. But just don't let it get that far. Don't let your pride get in the way of it. And that guy said, could you please not put that car on the internet? That car didn't go on the internet. I said, look, I'm going to have to sell it. I said, I'm going to need to slip it in some of my videos. I'm going to need to call some of my high-end car guys. I said, but if you don't want it legitimately, and he knew that his friends watched our website, I guess, or they watched our social media, and we kept that car private. We did not ever put it on social media. We did slip it in some videos in the background, and I did end up selling it to another dealer through dealer-to-dealer network. So it stayed very private. Matter of fact, he texted me about a truck not long ago, and I was like, hey, man, did we do what we're supposed to do for you on the car? I know you were in a bad spot, and you were kind of embarrassed. He's like, man, it's all good. He said, you did exactly what you said. I put myself in that situation. I shouldn't have asked upon you to hide it. That's your business. And I was like, it's okay. That was part of the deal. You asked, we did. So anyway, long story short, things can be kept private. Don't be too embarrassed. Don't lose your car over trying not to sell it so public knows. This is huge in the boat industry. We see it all the time. People don't want to post their boat for sale because what's the first thing you're going to say? Oh my gosh, so-and-so's selling his boat. He must be going broke. Well, guess what? A lot of times when somebody sells a boat, it's because they're getting a bigger, better one. You never know. You don't know what the case is. So don't always assume, but it's always the gossip that people are afraid of. So I've always had people reach out to me on the side on boats and say, hey, will you buy my boat? I don't want to put it online. I don't want to post it. I don't want everybody in my business. Well, I get it. So that's where Facebook puts everybody in your business. And Facebook also puts all the clowns in your inbox. We make it real simple. We make it real easy. We make it real private. And if it is a situation like that, that's like, hey, please, can you only dealer to dealer sell it? Can you only post it over here, over there? We'll do our best to stick to that. If that's what our handshake is about, that's what our handshake is about. And that's only one of many that I can think of right off the top of my head that was recent that was that way. I've had them where the people have said, can you change the tires and wheels? Can you do this, that, or the other? So many other things. So I get it. It's, people get a little upset and embarrassed. It's the American way. We are in some tough times. We are here to buy your vehicle. We are here to sell you a nice vehicle. And shops equipped to upgrade your square body or your truck, whatever you need to do. Check out all the inventory on the website, davis4x4.com. Got some cool decorations we're getting ready to start hanging up in here. And AJ's got the lift on charge. So next rainy day, other than today, we'll get some of that accomplished. And we're going to start putting some of the ATVs in here. Got a lot of cool stuff happening. So thanks, guys. Thanks for your support. We will see you tomorrow.